With the last bit of milk at the bottom of the bottle diluted with water, it filled a full bottle enough to last the family for a day. The father looked at his young daughter and said, "I dreamt I ate a steak. A thick, juicy steak. I was full. Can you help me?" He gave all the food to his daughter and left early in the morning with an empty stomach. During the Great Depression, a full meal was already a luxury. At the dock that morning, men crowded in search of work, but the foreman only needed 9. Old Braddock wasn't chosen, leaving him to walk away disappointed. Who would have thought the once glorious boxing champion had fallen so low? When he returned home, he found his son sulking in the corner, a large sausage sitting on the table. Without a word, Braddock grabbed his son and took him to the shop to return the sausage. On their way back, his son mentioned that his friend was being sent away because his parents couldn't afford to keep him. Braddock stayed silent for a long time before kneeling down and promising his son that he would always take care of them. But how could he? Fortunately, his manager had arranged a fight for him. Win or lose, he'd earn $50 just before the match. The manager noticed Braddock had hidden an injury to his hand and was furious, but with the fight imminent, there was no turning back. His hand was broken and the match was an ugly one. Under the dissatisfaction of the crowd, Braddock swung his right fist and accidentally struck his opponent's head. Despite enduring excruciating pain, he barely managed to win the fight. However, not only did he not receive any prize money, but the association also revoked his boxing license. Without work, it meant the gas and electricity at home would be cut off soon. His wife suggested sending the children to live with relatives, but Braddock refused outright. He had promised his son that he wouldn't send them away. He took out some shoe polish and asked his wife to help him cover his cast, so no one would notice his injured hand when he went to the docks again. Days later, the electrician came to cut off their electricity. They had been in arrears for 4 months, and if the electrician didn't shut it off, he'd lose his own job. Without electricity, they resorted to candles, and without heating, they broke apart the fence to burn wood, but even so, the children fell ill. As a mother, his wife couldn't bear to see the children suffer with them any longer. In despair, she sent the children to live with relatives. When Braddock returned, they had a heated argument and he stormed out. His wife feared he was leaving for good, but in truth, he had swallowed his last bit of pride and gone to the relief office, where he managed to get $19 in relief. Even with that, it wasn't enough to pay the bills. Desperate, he walked into the Grand Boxing Association, begging his former colleagues and bosses for money to help him through these tough times. Some sympathized with him and lent a hand, while others looked on with cold indifference. Finally, Braddock went to his manager, tears welling up in his eyes. His manager covered the remaining debt, and Braddock was able to bring his children back home. The family barely made it through the winter. Then one day, his manager came to him with a fight offer, a warm-up match against the world's second-ranked boxer. Win or lose, he'd earn $250, an enormous sum that could save his family. On the day of the match, the manager heard Braddock's stomach growling. It turned out Braddock hadn't even managed to get relief soup that day. He had been starving for a full day. The manager quickly found some beef stew for him. Just as Braddock was about to eat, the manager, worried he'd dirty his bandages, went to find a spoon. Staring at the bowl of stew, Braddock couldn't hold back and started eating it like a dog, tearing into it with his teeth. A reporter accidentally walked in on the scene, shocked to see the once undefeated legend in such a state before a match. Braddock stepped into the ring, to the excitement of the crowd, though no one really thought he stood a chance. His opponent was much bigger and stronger. The match began, and the world's second-ranked boxer immediately launched a ferocious attack. His long arms kept Braddock on the defensive, and he was soon knocked to the ground by a heavy punch. As per the plan, if he stayed down, he'd easily get his $250, but for some reason, Braddock smiled and got up. Life's hardships hadn't knocked him down. What were a few punches compared to that? If his opponent had longer arms, he would simply get in close. Known as the Bulldog, Braddock grew more determined as the fight went on. Taking punch after punch, he bided his time, waiting for the perfect opportunity to deliver a powerful counterpunch that electrified the crowd. Even his manager was stunned. Working on the docks had transformed Braddock's former weakness into a strength. His once injured right hand had become powerful. With a final blow, Braddock knocked out the world's second-ranked boxer. The once disgraced fighter had worked a miracle with his injured right hand. After the match, Braddock wolfed down that bowl of stew. Journalists swarmed in, and Braddock's victory made headlines across the country. In an era of widespread despair, Braddock had become a hero to the common people. But Bruce's next opponent was Bell, the world's #1 ranked fighter, known for his vicious punches. He had already killed 2 opponents in the ring, and autopsies revealed that their brains had been shattered by his blows, leaving them in a gruesome state. The club manager tried to persuade Bruce to forfeit the match, but Bruce simply said, "I have no other choice." The manager, speechless, arranged for a meeting between Bruce and Bell at a social event. Bell, young and already enjoying the luxuries of life, always had 2 beautiful women by his side, exuding arrogance and self-importance. When Bruce approached to greet him, Bell threatened him with a smirk. "I'll end your life in the ring." This was Bell's usual tactic, intimidating his opponents to break their psychological defenses before the fight. Bruce just smiled calmly, but his wife was terrified. She feared losing him. Watching their kids playfully throw punches with Bruce, she lost her temper for the first time, scolding the children while harboring anger toward her husband. She couldn't understand why Bruce was risking his life in such a dangerous fight, unaware of the weight of the hope he carried on his shoulders. On the day of the fight, the family wore grim expressions as if they were attending his final farewell. The pressure of their emotions suffocated Bruce. His wife, as usual, went to church to pray for her husband. When she entered, she was astonished to find the pews packed with people, all praying for Bruce. It was in that moment she realized who her husband was truly fighting for. Before the match, Bruce was feeling anxious, but his wife arrived just in time to encourage him, reminding him, "No matter what happens, we're all proud of you." With her support, Bruce regained his confidence. When he stepped into the ring, the crowd fell silent. Even the commentators whispered in reverence for him. But as Bruce took his stance, a thunderous cheer erupted, louder than he had ever heard before. When Bell emerged from the locker room, his face darkened at the sight of the roaring crowd. As the fight commenced, Bruce attacked ferociously, but Bell, towering and strong, easily pushed Bruce's head down with a mocking smile, as if toying with a child. This was his usual strategy: provoke and unsettle his opponent. But Bruce remained composed, relying on his agility to close the distance and punish Bell with blows up close. By the 3rd round, Bell targeted Bruce's injured ribs. Though Bruce appeared calm, he turned away, almost passing out from the pain. In the next round, Bruce switched to defense, skillfully dodging 2 of Bell's heavy punches. The crowd started to jeer at the clumsy champion. Enraged, Bell threw a cheap shot while the referee was separating them, ignoring the boos of the audience and resorting to all kinds of dirty tactics. At one point, while they were clinched, Bell even taunted Bruce about his wife, hurling insults to unnerve him. Normally calm, Bruce nearly lost control. Fortunately, his manager shouted from the sidelines, snapping Bruce back to reality. But Bell's plan was working. Bruce's technique was faltering. In the next round, Bell's eyes burned with fury as he prepared to finish the match. Every punch he threw was with full force, landing to devastating blows that left Bruce dizzy and bleeding from his nose. But Bruce refused to go down. He was fighting for more than just himself. He carried the hopes of his entire family and countless others who had faced hardship. As the fight progressed, Bruce's punches grew more powerful, and his strong counterpunch landed squarely on Bell's face, leaving him stunned. Bell's pre-fight psychological games had failed entirely, and now, in frustration, he cursed angrily. From then on, Bruce abandoned defense altogether, delivering rapid, relentless blows to Belle's face. His smile turned to a grimace, and Belle found himself cornered, pushed to the edge of defeat. Desperate, Belle threw an illegal punch to Bruce's leg, enraging the crowd. Bruce's manager stormed into the ring, forcing the round to end prematurely. In the corner, his manager urged Bruce to keep his distance in the final round. Belle had already committed multiple fouls, and if Bruce could just last until the bell, victory would be his. But once back in the ring, Bruce didn't retreat. He never had. The two exchanged powerful punches, neither willing to give in. The tension was palpable, with the audience hanging on every moment, their hearts pounding as they prayed for Bruce. Even his wife, who had been too scared to listen to the fight, gathered the courage to tune in at last. Bruce's injured ribs were repeatedly pummeled. Then, in a moment of desperation, Bruce's vision blurred as Belle closed in for what would be the killing punch. In a flash, Bruce recalled what had happened to other fighters who faced Belle. He knew this punch would kill him too. His family's faces flickered through his mind as the world slowed around him. Belle found an opening, dodging one of Bruce's punches and lifting his chin for a full-force uppercut. The blow sent Bruce staggering across the ring, and everyone rose to their feet in shock. Based on the post-match scores, all the judges unanimously agreed the new world boxing champion is James Braddock. Against 10-to-1 odds, in an era of decline and despair, he alone rose to the pinnacle. This is a true story from 1935 that moved countless hearts. A few years later, he participated in World War II, contributing to world peace. After the war, he bought the dock where he had worked during the Great Depression. In the 1960s, he helped build a bridge and enjoyed his later years with his wife. A true man, upright and unyielding, steadfast and resolute, indomitable in spirit. Though battered and scarred, he would still stand tall. I spent a month meticulously crafting this film, and perhaps there will never be another sci-fi film that can surpass it. No one can walk out of this movie calmly, and no one can watch it without longing for it afterward.
Thanks for watching. Like and comment on my video.